Alright guys, welcome back to the WPF to Blazor migration series. This is the Snake edition, and last time we created our high score API, which accesses our database and stores, can save high scores and also retrieve all the high scores right now. That's what we've implemented, and now we just need to be able to call the external API from our Blazor application. So we're gonna write a class library which will do exactly that. And in theory, I mean, not just in theory, but also once we're done creating this library, which we'll call the HighScore API, we can also just place that into our WPF project and then call the API from our WPF project or Android or I mean Maui project, and then also save and retrieve the high scores. So yeah, which would eliminate just storing the highest scores locally on our own machines. So you could compete with other players all over the world, you know. Alright, but yeah, let's get into it. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna right click on our solution and then add a new project, which is gonna be a class library. And we will call this score HTTP requests. High score HTTP. No. Yeah. Alright. So call that create, and let's remove that. And what we need first, before we continue, we need to add a NuGet package, which is called API client, web API client. Install this NuGet package. Actually, that was kind of HTTP. Yeah, I'm gonna delete this project real quick again. Remove. Don't save. Let's add the project again. Class library. Let's call it high scores API client. Let's just go with that. There we go. That's better. Alright, and yeah, let's again add the NuGet package, which was web API, Microsoft ASP.NET web API client, install, accept. We can delete this default class. Alright, and now let's add a API helper. And this is gonna be static class public static no, it's actually gonna be, we're gonna have an HTTP client, call it client, and then make that static. And then we're going to have a private static void initialize client. So yeah, we're going to initialize the client, and then we're going to set the base address, which we'll check out in a second. And then we'll also need to set the default request headers. Well, actually we're going to clear them. And then now we're going to add, hopefully IntelliSense will know what I want here. Media type, yeah, application JSON, there we go. Let's add the using statement here. Okay, so yeah, we're going to initialize the client here. Alright, and we need to get that base address. Well, we'll do that in a second. Alright, now we'll also need to create the requests. So let's add another class, which will be the high scores requests. That's also static, so we don't have to instantiate this. Static async task. So our first request is going to be, just loading the high scores. So what are we're expecting a list of high score model. So here we would have to reference this class library, but I don't want to do that because then we could access the database from the Blazor project directly, and I don't want to do that. So we should, I'm just going to do that real quick. I'm going to add another project just to keep everything separate. It's going to be a new and also going to be a class library. And we'll call it MongoDB data. And then I'm going to copy this data folder over here, and then I'm going to delete it from there, and then I'm going to add the NuGet package MongoDB.driver here. Let's install that. Accept. Close that, save. Oops. Alright, so we're gonna get some errors for sure. Data access. Yeah, here. This needs to reference MongoDB.data. go. It's not 100% correct, but MongoDB data. Alright, so let's remove this using statement. It's lagging here again. Alright, control dot to add the namespace, and that should do it. Okay. Oh, we also have to do it for the data access? No. Okay. So fun. Let's actually it's still complaining about something here. Let's go to the data access. Ah, yeah. So I have to update the using namespace here. Control dot. Come on. Remove that top one. Alright. Convert to file scope. There we go. Okay. Alright, we can close this down. Let's give it a quick build, see if we get any more errors. Build the solution. Ah, yeah. Alright, so this HighScores API client needs to also reference the MongoDB.data, DB data. Come on. Add project reference. Here we go. So MongoDB data. Come on. Let's go. There we go. Alright. It's okay. Alright, and now we can use the add the using statement, hopefully. Yes. Control dot. Try that again. Yep. Alright. And alright, now we can say load high scores, and then in here we'll say string URL. Oh yeah, because we haven't set the base URL yet. Let's do that. Hold on, let's make the API a startup project again. Set a startup project. Let's start this really quick. Let's comment this so we can run the project. Comment. Alright. was going too fast. Alright, let's see what is the issue here. High score. Oh. Ah. Let's go MongoDB data. Alright. And yeah, let's comment this also. Alright, start the application. Alright, and yeah, the base address here from our API is gonna be right now, since we're locally, this right here. And then after that, no, we have those the requests that we have. So high scores get, yeah, right here. So slash high scores get post, and yeah, that's it for now. So I'm gonna copy this base address. I can stop running it, and then uncomment this part, and then add the so I'm gonna make it a new URI. There we go. Alright. So we have that done, and now this is the high score API. Let's make the Blazor Snake the startup project again. Alright, MongoDB data. Yeah, we can remove the class right here. We don't need that. It's just confusing. API. Okay, and we're back here. Alright, so the URL is going to be /high scores. And yeah, basically we can, since it's always going to be the same, let's just make this a public static, or no, public const string URL and let's paste that in there. So we don't really need that. Alright, and then we can say using HTTP response message. Response is gonna be an await, and then the API helper client, and then get async and the URL. So, and then we can check if the response dot is success status code, and if so, we can return that list, which is actually, I don't think we have to wait this. Response dot content dot read as async list high score model. Oh, and actually, since it's returning a task, we can await it. There we go. That's good. And then we will just return that list. So this should load up our high scores. And then else we can handle that error by saying throw new exception and then response dot phrase. Alright, so that's the first request, loading the high scores. And then the second one, let's just copy this real quick. Easy. Saving high scores. So we'll replace that with save high score. And this will just return a task. And here, it's not just going to be a get async, it's going to be post as JSON async, and we need the high score model. So high score model, high score, and yeah, we'll pass in the URL and then the value, which is going to be the high score. So actually, let's return a bool if it's true. If it worked, then we'll just say return true. I deleted that async. Alright. Alright, so yeah, we're passing in that new high score. Post as JSON async with the URL, high scores. And here we pass the data. And that's it. Alright, so now we can reference that. Let's just make sure that so high scores, yeah. The URL is always the same. It's just a post and get. Okay, now we can reference the client high score API client. Let's do that. And now we have to start up our Blazor application, but also start up our API. So we do that by clicking here, configure startup, and this will be a multiple startup project. So the high score API needs to start. The client is just a library. MongoDB Access is also just a library. MongoDB Data also, Snake.core also, and here our Blazor application. So let's push that. We'll start that up right after our API. Okay. Now to test Mm, to test this, we should go to the high scores page and let's add some code here. So code protected override on initialized async. Come on initialized async. Okay. Initialized async. Oh, why is that complaining? On. Ah, because void. Forgot the void here. Alright. Let's make this async. Let's just, yeah, there we go. Now we got it right. Okay, and now, so when the high score page is loaded or initialized, we will call our, let's start off with the save high score. So basically we'll say HTTP, what was it called? Let's check the client here. High scores requests. High scores request. Is the reference set? Yes. So let's go up top and say using high scores API client. Requests. There we go. Finally. Alright, and then we can say, let's say, hey, save high score. And there we have to pass in so we can await this. We can pass in a new high score. Let's do that by saying high score. It's going to be new high score model. And then high score dot name is going to be Blazor test or text test, and the high score dot score is going to be 100, of course. And let's pass that high score in here. Alright. And then after that, let's load the list. So var list await high scores requests dot load high scores. And here we don't have to pass in anything, there's no parameters. Alright. Actually, let's check result. I also added a flag to see everything was fine. We'll see. Okay, let's start this application up. Alright, so where is it? We have no errors, that's okay. Why is it not starting? Why is it not starting? Okay, it just took a little longer. Okay, so this is our API right here, Swagger. This is starting first, as we set this in the startup configuration. So now we're just waiting for the Blazor application. Here we come. Yep, there we go. All right. So on a change to the high scores page, we should hit this on initialize code. Oh man, it's really slow now, because why not? Let's stretch this a little bit out. Alright, that's the high scores button. Let's press that. And we should hit that breakpoint hopefully. Yeah, alright, I see it hit. Come on. Alright, here we go. Let's see if let's make sure that, yeah, we also have ID which is set. We got the name, score and test. Let's go run it. Let's go jump over. Oh, looks like we've had an error somewhere. Alright. Okay, actually, no, there's no error. It just took way longer than I expected, so yeah. So the result here is true, and now we're gonna go hit that load the high scores. Let's see. Alright, that took not as long. Alright, we got 2 items in the list. So we got that test name with a score of 10, and we have our Blazor test with a score of high. Alright, great, so that works. We can access our API, and the API relays that message to the database and ultimately gets that data out of the database. So let's just make sure that this is also verified here by just going through the Swagger. Let's do the get. We should have 2, and there we go. We got 2 items in there. And yeah, we don't have to do the post again. Alright, so great. That's it. So next time we will implement the rest of the logic.